Just embrace it. Embrace it for what it is. Tottenham fans, you guys are the ultimate bottle job. Chelsea supporters, we are in a title fight. Chelsea travel to 3-point lane and emerge 4-3 winners. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
championship! Welcome back to Couch Critic. You already know what it is. It's Dennis P. Please do me the favor and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and think about hitting that bell notification button to keep up with the latest and the newest. This game had everything, absolutely everything. What a performance. Not the top level that you're going to see Chelsea perform at. We did have some individual errors that I called out pre-match. I was like, listen, we win this game comfortably if we avoid making some critical individual errors. And, you know, in typical Chelsea fashion, you know, I make that tweet and then we give away 2 goals right off the top. And, you know, I'm not going to really hang it too heavily on Cucurella, but like when you're warming up in a match, like the first thing you do is check to see if you're comfortable in your boots and whatnot. So that was not great, but it's not all this game had. Obviously, those 2 goals were crucial. We're on the back heels, and like we needed to see that character, that fight from Chelsea, and we saw it because for the majority of that game, we dominated the performance. We had all sorts of actions playing out from the back that led to us breaking on Tottenham with numbers. Didn't always make the right decisions in possession, but we were on top of them the entire match. And you know that it seemed like that 2-0 scoreline was enough to wake us up and get us playing proper football. It was like a litmus test for where we are as a Chelsea football club and a litmus test for where we are in our development. Like more often than not, a young team just folds after that. Just folds. Don't show the character to come back and make it a game. And you know, I'm really impressed with what I've seen today. Just more about the fight and the character that we showed in this match against Tottenham. And, you know, just the fight back. Like, guys that are just so composed on the ball. I thought Enzo Fernandez had a fantastic game. I know he scored, and, like, normally when he scores, you think that, yeah, it's a great game from Enzo, but it was just so much more than that. So much more than that. The use of space that he had. We'll get into all that. I wanted to dive into a couple different things. I wanted to speak on specifically playing out from the back because we did have some errors that were leading to either goal scoring opportunities or goals. And we did have a few problems just trying to like really come to grips with obviously Badiashile playing on that right flank and not really being able to cope with what the Spurs press was. So we are going to speak about that. We're going to speak about Chelsea playing out from the back, which was very important in this match. We're going to speak about the relationship between Sanchez and Badiashile, or the lack thereof. And we're also going to speak about the changes, the tactical changes in that second half that was very offensively aggressive and led to Chelsea, you know, taking the game by the scruff of the neck and finally producing that win. Okay, I'm going to start by saying this. Obviously, it's not easy when you lose a defender like Fofana, who plays such a crucial role in our back line. You know, obviously that hybrid between right center back and right back, especially because Chelsea built up from the back with 3. You lose a player like that who's very dynamic on the ball and is very composed. You lose a player like that, obviously Maresca has problems. You cannot play Tosin out there as far as I'm concerned because he's just not comfortable in those areas. Disasi makes too many mistakes. And you're left with Badiashile, who you think is a little bit more secure in possession. But a lefty on the right when you're being pressed heavily just produced way too many problems. And for me, Badiashile just does not deal with pressure very well. He just does not deal with it very well. Whether he's on the left or the right, I see the same issues there. You know, when he's pressed effectively, and let's be real, the Spurs press was actually quite effective at times during this game, and they basically used Badiashile as their trigger for them to initiate their high press, and it worked, you know, considerably well, you know, because we were just rushed and we couldn't really find the angles to work it back infield. And I think that has a lot to do with just Badiashile being a left footer and the pass is coming into him, basically coming out on his right foot, which he's not very comfortable on. An immediate response that a left footer is going to have when playing on the right is to play it right back to where it came from, rather than look to take it onto his right, control the ball, compose himself, and play it infield. And I think that this was one of the bigger problems that Chelsea faced when playing out from the back. Badiashile just not having the ability to receive the ball and play it infield to the likes of, Caicedo, even play it further up the field to Neto, or play it infield to somebody like Lavia or, Cole Palmer. And this was producing so many problems, like just looked so uncomfortable on the ball. We looked like every time we went to the right, to our right, we're putting ourselves in an immense amount of pressure. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of instances to sort of like drive this message home. I know you guys saw the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but the things that I wanted to focus on were the specific instances where the passes were coming into Badiashile's right foot and he just couldn't control it. He's just not quite focused and dialed in onto the details in these matches. Like, games come at you thick and fast, really real quick. You have to make quick decisions under pressure, and he just makes the wrong one often. And obviously a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's playing out of position, but also just due to the fact that he's not thinking the game correctly. Obviously, being a left footer, his natural instincts is going to take him to swing the ball towards, Sanchez's left foot, like as we can see here, where naturally a right footer would be playing it right to Sanchez's right foot. And this basically was the main problem that I had with Badiashile and Sanchez in terms of their relationship. They were just wrong footing each other time and time again. Like, obviously in this situation here, where Sanchez gets on the ball, he receives the ball from Colwell, he swings it over to the right-hand side. He's passed it right into Badiashile's right foot. That's where he should have been taking it on. But because he's been put under so much pressure, he just hits it first time with his left, and it goes straight out of bounds. It's just not the most ideal situation that you want to find yourself in as a defender being pressed. And throughout that first half, they used Badiashile as a trigger for their press. They're using him, and whenever he got on the ball, that was like the trigger for them to get in and start pressing Chelsea a little bit more closely. And it produced, varying results. Obviously, Chelsea weren't necessarily punished by that, but it certainly put us under an immense amount of pressure, and it stopped us from playing football. It stopped us from getting out and getting onto the counter, getting into our possession game. And, for the most part, what Chelsea have been doing successfully the last couple games in particular was working the ball down the right flank. And I felt like as soon as, Caicedo inverted into the midfield, we just lost any ability to really play on that right side. And there were a couple of reasons why I thought that was the case. Not just because Badiashile wasn't very good in possession and was often wrong-footed when he was receiving the ball, but also because we weren't really bringing our attackers to the ball enough. I mean, there's a couple instances in this game where Neto, comes a little bit deeper and gets on the ball, and they're looking to do that exact same release that you saw Chelsea with Cole Palmer do against Brighton, where he's coming into the right half space, gets on the ball and just hits it first time, and Jackson's on his bike running in behind. I think that Chelsea were trying to execute that exact same move, but not with Cole Palmer. They wanted Cole Palmer attacking the space with Jackson. There's a couple times where you watch what Neto does when he comes deep. He's looking to hit it first time, but not only that, he's looking again to see if Jackson's making that run for him. And there's one instance here where you can clearly see that he's looking at Jackson after he's in possession of the football, and he's waiting for him to make that run. And then when he doesn't make the run, you can just tell that he's frustrated at the fact that, like, I'm here, I'm in this pocket of space here, all I have to do is knock it in there, and he just doesn't do it. This is part of the issue that I had. We just weren't really effectively able to build down the right. Like, most of the action that Chelsea got in that first half was through the individual brilliance of Sancho down that left flank. Well, he was electric. He was electric in that first half in particular, at moments in the second half as well. But my goodness, the failure for Chelsea to just find that chemistry between Cole Palmer, Neto, and Jackson was a large part of the undoing of Chelsea in that early part of the first half there. Just not really recognizing when Jackson needs to come deep to allow for Cole Palmer to spin in behind, to allow for him to come deep and connect with the midfielders, the likes of Caicedo, Enzo, who was often in space. I think that was again where Chelsea were really very, very good. Obviously, I said that Enzo was excellent today, and a lot of it was just with the fact that he was just found in so much space so often. Every time he got on the ball, he had like nobody near him. And it's for this reason that I've been saying specifically why Chelsea need to have offensive thinkers in the final third. Teams cannot afford to cheat off of Cole Palmer and leave Enzo Fernandez in space. Because as soon as you give Enzo time and space on the ball, he is delivering bullets that like nobody else. Like, he's probably one of our best passers when given time and space, and he was definitely executing that throughout the entire match. One of his better games as a Chelsea player, without question. For me, a lot of the issues that we had in the first half came down to Maresca's pregame assessment. We just did not have the quality in the areas where we needed it, and when we were pressed, we were producing all sorts of turnovers. But to his credit, Maresca made all the right switches in the at halftime that led to Chelsea having a lot more control in the game. And obviously the biggest change came at halftime with Lavia coming off in favor of Gusto. And for me, I was still dumbfounded by it, because I thought that Lavia was our best player in the first half. He was the one that actually gave us a foothold in the match with his ability to bypass that press, the first wave of the press, on getting on the half turn, dribbling past, his physicality in the midfield, winning tackles, getting interceptions, and then also punching the ball into our attackers with some real pace to get us right into the teeth of the defense. I thought he was fantastic, easily our best player in the first half. But, it was, if I'm not mistaken, Maresca said in his presser that he picked up a little knock and had to come off, but the substitution made all the difference in the world. Obviously, Badiashile moves back to the left flank, and then you have Gusto playing that right-sided center-back position. But the main tactical difference that I saw in Chelsea's setup is how they use Cucurella. Cucurella was basically given the freedom to roam as a number 10 for much of that second half. He was all over the pitch and was often the free man, but the pressure we were able to put on Tottenham with those numbers, with the likes of, Enzo dropping a little bit deeper, being more of a controller, a dictator of tempo, Cucurella advancing into that number 10 position and being a bit of a nuisance. The pressure and the control that we had in that second half for about maybe 20 minutes of that second half was mainly down to the fact that Chelsea just had an overwhelming amount of aggressive attackers in the final third of the pitch. We even saw instances where Gusto was pressed up very high up the pitch, along with Cucurella in that number 10 position. And of course, it doesn't really stop Enzo from crashing the box either. So Chelsea just threw everything attacking wise at Spurs, and it produced a few very good moments for Chelsea to score goals. But it was just this aggressivity that I think that was so evident. Obviously, we played essentially with two defenders in that second half, being obviously Badiashile and Colwell, and then everyone else was looking to get on their bike and attack. Obviously, we saw instances where, Enzo's crashing the box and getting into good areas. Obviously, he scores the goal. We saw instances where Caicedo's crashing the box and getting into good areas, obviously for the penalty. We saw instances where Cucurella is combining well with Jadon Sancho, and, the interplay between the two of them introduces another chance for Sancho. We had about seven players in attacking areas looking to, inflict some real damage. And, that sort of pressure was something that Tottenham just could not live with in the second half. And of course, pressure burst pipes. And again, for the third goal, Cole Palmer draws about 3 or 4 people towards him, nimbly dribbles past them, gets a shot off, deflects right into the path. What a fantastic finish. Left boot, volley, crushes it, my word. And I just wanted to touch on one cheeky moment after Enzo puts in that banger. I'm sure not many people saw what happened afterwards, because we were all just like arms everywhere, waving, like just screaming. I jumped up, I was like running around my apartment. My kids just like, what is going on with this guy? It was incredible finish, the right moment to score as well. But if you notice, Enzo was about to take off his jersey, and instantly Jackson just grabs his jersey and pulls it back down. And then after they go to the corner flag, all you see is him talking to him. He's like, no, don't take your shirt off. Don't take your shirt off. And Enzo's like pulling it back down even more. It's just one of those moments that you look and you say, these guys are maturing. They're starting to understand what it's all about. And, if we continue on this path, we continue down this road, with people making smart decisions in these areas and whatnot, we're just going to be a very tough team to beat. But like I said, it's always going to be one game at a time. This was one where Chelsea were able to show the quality that we have, show the composure, show the fight back, the commitment, all of that. This is what we need. This is what young teams that are, ascending up the table have to show, the character that it takes to win tough matches away. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea, once again, travel to 3-point lane, white fart lane, the toilet bowl, whatever you want to call it, and collect 3 points. This is what we do. We go to Tottenham Hotspur away and we collect 3 points. There's just no excuses. We collect 3 points. We just collect 3 points there. Today was no different. Some very, very good performances today again too. Fantastic performance from Jadon Sancho. I thought he was incredible in the first half and in moments of the second half. Probably should have scored 2, but but for Force's incredible save. But he was immense, just cooking Poro on that right flank there, our left, their right. And again, just immense, the combinations. Him and Enzo are forming a real partnership on that left flank. It's evident. They look really, really good together. They play at the same pace. It feels like they understand each other's game. And then with Cucurella coming in the second half and playing that number 10 position, that threesome between, Cucurella, Sancho, and Enzo was producing all sorts of quality for Chelsea in the final third. Not just them, but I felt that obviously Lavia had to sub in the first half, but he had another fantastic performance. He's played flawlessly in the first half for us. Don't have much to say about him because he didn't play the majority of the game. A little bit of a muted performance from Jackson, I must say, but he did work hard. He did press from the front and, gave us something to build off of. But Cole Palmer, once again this guy, man. Once again this guy. Just shows up for the big moments, man. Shows up for the big moments. They're gonna say that he scored 2 penalties and then like the deflected shot that fell into the pass of Enzo. But it's the work that he's doing off the ball again, like pulling defenders out of position. There's a moment where he's being tracked by Basuma. He pulls Basuma well out of position, and then Lavia just slices the ball right into the feet of Cole Palmer, and we almost got in again for another goal there. So there are moments where his movement is just what's creating the move for Chelsea, and he's been fantastic at that since he's arrived at the club. Enzo Fernandez just utilizing space like nobody before him. He's been fantastically. But we move, guys. We move. It's been a fantastic, fantastic week for Chelsea. We beat Aston Villa, we beat Southampton, and then we beat Spurs. Now we go into another week where we're just looking at one game at a time. We have to embrace the position we're in. We're 4 points behind Liverpool. We have to embrace this position, but it's one game at a time. Next game is Astana, and then after that we have Brentford at the weekend, who I don't think are going to be easy opponents. They play a physical brand of football. They're very direct. They would love to get into the teeth of our defense with the way it's looking right now, and they can't pose problems, but we have to remain composed. We have to show our character and show up in that match and deliver once again. It's at Stamford Bridge. We cannot drop points there. But until then, keep the blue flag flying high and up to Chelsea. Peace.